When President Trump's administration told the European elites at Davos that their energy policies had been disastrous, that wasn't just an opinion. It's a provable fact that President Trump's energy policies are consistent with the most fundamental laws of the universe. You might be wondering what the hell I'm talking about. Many cynics claim President Trump is just shilling for the fossil fuel industries, nothing more, while elite academics and policymakers still insist that the so-called green energy transition is the right path forward. In reality, the so-called green energy policies of Europe and of the Biden administration have been in opposition to natural law. It's a provable scientific fact that progress, growth, and development throughout the entire universe is always connected to increases in the concentration of energy flows. We see this with the evolution of galaxies, the life cycles of stars, the development of the biosphere, and even the evolution of individual living species. So why would it be any different for mankind? I'm Benjamin Deniston with Promethean Action, author of the study, What is Promethean Man? In Defense of Science from Corruption. And I've been studying the relation between energy and universal development since 2010. In this video, we're going to examine what Energy Secretary Chris Wright revealed at Davos about the failure of green energy policies. Then we'll explore how power per mass provides a universal metric for measuring development, from galaxies all the way to human civilization. Finally, I'll show you why mankind's mastery of fire places us uniquely at the top of a universal hierarchy of developing systems. On January 22nd, U.S. Energy Secretary Chris Wright delivered a powerful address at Davos, laying bare the catastrophic results of European energy policy. He didn't mince words about what trillions of dollars of green spending actually achieved. According to Wright, the EU doubled its electricity grid capacity over 20 years, but total electricity output actually decreased, down almost 20% in Germany and over 25% in the UK. Germany went from 80% hydrocarbon energy to 75%. They displaced coal, tripled electricity prices, shrunk industrial production, and became more vulnerable to energy disruption. Wright then highlighted the global failure of green energy.
We spent, in round numbers, $10 trillion on wind, solar, batteries, and increased transmission lines to connect remote production areas to whatever. And that's 2.6% of global energy. So not a fraction of the energy we get out of oil or natural gas or coal. And I would say economically has been a failure.
But Secretary Wright went further, highlighting what climate catastrophists never want to admit. Global energy scarcity is the real killer, killing millions every single year.
We have 2 billion people, a quarter of humanity, that don't have clean cooking fuels. They burn wood and agricultural waste and dung indoors, just like our ancestors did a few generations ago. That indoor air pollution kills 2 to 3 million people. Like there's an energy crisis. With just a cook stove and a propane canister, we could save millions of lives. From those 2 billion people that want clean cooking fuels to the 7 billion people that don't live like us, maybe 1 billion people live remotely recognizable, I just draw one conclusion. We need massively more energy. Massively more energy. We need massively more oil, more natural gas, more coal, more nuclear, next generation geothermal, whatever provides affordable, reliable, secure energy.
Under President Trump's policies, the USA is delivering exactly that. Over 17 gigawatts of coal power generation have been saved from Biden's war on coal. We now produce more oil than Saudi Arabia and Russia combined. We produce as much natural gas as Russia, Iran, and China combined. We have a goal to quadruple nuclear power generation over 25 years. And looking to the future, President Trump's Truth Social has merged with a fusion power company. This administration isn't playing political games with energy. They're abandoning green brainwashing and embracing policies that actually work for humanity, with a focus on increasing our energy exports to help an energy-starved world. But if we look at the bigger picture, this isn't just about economic progress in the narrow, traditional sense. It's about universal natural law in the broadest sense. We live in a developing universe that's increasing in complexity. One convenient way this can be measured is the rate of energy consumption relative to the size of a given system. We can call this power per mass. Despite the vast differences in size and timescales between galaxies, stars, living systems, and human societies, power per mass gives us a singular metric that measures both the progress of any given system and enables comparison across systems. This reveals a clear hierarchy of universal development. And if you're a follower of my channel, you won't be surprised to see that mankind sits uniquely at the top. So stick with me as we work our way up this hierarchy, and be sure to subscribe to support this type of content. Starting with galaxies, despite their grandiose nature, when we compare the energy consumption of an entire galaxy with its immense size, the resulting power per mass is actually quite low, although it does increase as a galaxy develops and matures. If we shift to examining individual stars, the energy consumption of a star versus its size gives us a higher power per mass compared to galaxies, indicating a higher complexity. And again, this measure increases as a star moves through its life cycle. Taking another step up, we have living organisms and the biosphere. Whether we examine individual species or the sum total of life's vast diversity, we see higher power per mass and higher complexity compared with stars and galaxies. And when we look at the evolution of life through this lens, we don't see chaotic randomness. We see the successive emergence of more and more capable species with increasingly powerful impacts on the biosphere, always associated with increasing our energy concentration metric. Now, some might think it's bizarre to discuss this in the context of U.S. energy policy. In reality, this is the universal context in which human development exists. We are not separate from these systems. We are part of the universe. And looking at human development in this universal context actually gives us deeper insights into the notion of a creative spark that distinguishes mankind. Through this lens, compare human development with these other systems. Stars operate through fusion and are largely responsible for generating the periodic table and shaping the material and energetic character of entire galaxies. Living species operate through metabolism and are largely responsible for shaping the characteristics of our entire biosphere. Mankind operates through the discovery of fire, and the regime we can shape is only limited by the level of fire we have discovered. Sure, mankind shares the same fundamental metabolism with animal species, but here's the key difference. Progress, in terms of power per mass, in the animal world is marked by biological and physiological changes associated with increases in metabolism. Mankind's progress has no biological or physiological expression. It comes from somewhere else entirely. There's a reason the profound ancient Greek legend of Prometheus focused specifically on the stealing of fire from the gods. Keeping with our universal metric, human progress is measured by the successive mastery of more and more advanced forms of fire, starting with the simple burning of wood and other types of biomass, to the development of charcoal, to the mastery of coal, then oil and natural gas. In this sequence, we see two things. First, each successive fuel has higher energy density, meaning more energy released per pound of fuel. Second, each successive fuel allows human economies to produce more total energy with the same relative labor force. That is, increases in the power per mass for mankind. Going back hundreds of thousands of years, possibly a couple million years, with the first, most basic form of fire, we see mankind ecologically separating himself from the animal world. Today, with the mastery of fossil fuels, mankind has become the most powerful force for progress in the biosphere. Recent studies even show that under mankind's direction, today's biosphere operates at nearly twice the power per mass compared with its pre-human state. I'm going to say that again for our radical environmentalist friends. According to our universal metric of progress, the exact metric that measures the evolutionary development of life and the biosphere, mankind's governance has nearly doubled the level of development of the biosphere. So by this universal metric, mankind's relation to the natural world is not determined biologically but cognitively. The regime we can inhabit and shape is only limited by the level of fire we have discovered, with nuclear fire being the next frontier. We've barely begun to scratch the surface of nuclear reactions. From fission power to fusion power, from low-energy nuclear reactions to matter-antimatter. The domain of nuclear fire operates at 1,000,000 times the energy density of fossil fuels and can support a 1,000,000-fold expansion of mankind's presence throughout the solar system and beyond. So, from this scientific basis, the so-called green fanatics don't just have bad energy policies, they have unnatural energy policies. Green policies fail because they go against the most fundamental nature of progress and development in the universe. As Energy Secretary Wright said at Davos, the green energy policies of California and Europe have increased the cost of energy while lowering energy throughput. That is, lowering the power per mass, the exact opposite of progress. Wright emphasized what should be obvious. There is no poverty alleviation globally without a massive increase in energy production at dramatically lower costs. This is President Trump's agenda, and it's critical for both the United States and the world. As Secretary Wright put it,
I mean, President Trump, elected on an agenda of more energy. More energy is better than less energy, not just for the United States, but to give the United States energy to export abroad. So, his summary policy is prosperity at home and peace abroad.
And as we've uncovered here, this is not just an economic policy. This is an expression of how the universe operates and an understanding of mankind's true place in that universe. On the one hand, there's a consistency between the progress of mankind, life more generally, and astronomical systems. Power per mass provides a universal metric across all of these scales. On the other hand, while the level of power per mass for stars and living systems is physically determined, for mankind it's not. Mankind's progress originates from a unique ability to discover the unseen principles that organize the universe and utilize that knowledge in the form of technologies. These technologies don't simply change how we relate to the natural world. They are the expression of a unique capability we call human creativity. This is the physical expression of the divine spark that separates man from the beasts. And this is a scientific basis to better understand how mankind is made in the image of God. God being the great creator, mankind being his co-creator. If you appreciate this type of big picture analysis, connecting universal science to current policy, make sure to subscribe to my Promethean Action Science channel. And check out the link below to subscribe to Promethean Action's free newsletter for updates from our full team.